Ready to dominate at the plate? Blast Baseball is trusted by more major league and college teams than any other hitting solution. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NowD1 at checkout to save $25. All right, everybody, let's get right into it. I'm Alan Gay, and this is NowD1 Speaks. We got a great show today. It's a show that I've absolutely been looking forward to. We've got Coach Harmen Sidhu with us. He is the head baseball coach at Medanos College in California. Hey, Coach, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Why don't you kind of kick things off for us and just give us a general introduction of yourself, a little bit about your playing career, and really how did you transition into coaching?
Yeah, thanks for having me. First off, I appreciate everything you do. I started off growing up in the Bay Area and the East Bay in the Martinez area. Parents put me in Little League. I played that up until, high school. Played in high school at College Park High School out in Pleasant Hill. After my high school career, didn't really get the looks that I wanted. So I decided to go to junior college. I went to Diablo Valley College. And after a couple years, I got offered a scholarship to go to Oregon State. Went to Oregon State, had a great time there, great experience, played for a great coach. And but unfortunately, things didn't really work out as much as I wanted to work out from a fit standpoint. And back then, there was no transfer portal like it is now. So, you had to bounce back to D2 in order to play right away. Otherwise, you had to sit out a year. So I went to Sonoma State, had a pretty good career there. After my senior year, I got D2 Player of the Year. I got drafted, played in Tampa Bay organization for a couple years and, messed up my shoulder pretty bad. So kind of had to hang him up and then took some time off to reset. And, I always wanted to get into coaching. So I got offered to coach at Holy Names University and also get my master's. So I thought it was a good deal. So went to Holy Names. Coached there for a year, got my master's, exercise science, biomechanics. So then after that, I got offered to coach at University of California, Berkeley. And when I got there, I was the pitching coach, the volunteer assistant pitching coach, and then transitioned to the player development role after a couple of years. And then after that, I wanted to, utilize my master's, and I wanted to teach. The 4-year level, you can't really teach. So I decided to go back to, my alma mater, Diablo Valley College. I got offered a job there to teach and coach. So I was there for 2 years. And then this past year, this head coach position opened up at Medanos College. It's also a college in our school district. So I thought it was going to be a good transition and also the next step in my career. So, able to teach and head coach. And, now I'm here. So I'm excited.
Man, what an awesome introduction. What a great career, both playing and coaching as well. A lot to talk about today. And hey, man, one of the things that really kind of popped out to me while you were talking was returning to your alma mater as a coach. Kind of want to talk a little about that and certainly Holy Names as well. And kind of what I'm thinking about is, man, you were a big-time player. And, you really had a standout career. How did that transition go from being really a D2 Player of the Year, big-time player, moving back to coaching or moving into coaching?
It was definitely a transition, right? My first year coaching at Holy Names is definitely a learning experience. Being fresh out of playing, professional baseball, you have a different kind of mindset, but you're coaching different type of players. So, you have expectations, but you have to understand that, everybody's wired differently. Everybody's goals and expectations are different than you as a player. So really, learning each individual was my first kind of, lesson when it came to coaching. You really have to learn that, like, what motivates each player, what gets them going, what pisses them off, things like that. And that's kind of my learning curve, and I guess in the beginning of my coaching career. Because for me, I was just, put my head down, work hard, and I didn't care what people said. I'm just gonna outwork you. So everybody has a different tick. So that was a big time learning experience for me when I was there, and it helped a lot for me, my college or my coaching, kind of my beginning of my coaching career. And then, yeah, obviously, coaching at my alma mater was awesome. I had great memories at Diablo Valley College growing up. That's I played for the head coach at Cal Berkeley. He was the head coach at Diablo Valley College when I was there. And the memories that I had were awesome. I'm going to my friends' weddings now that, my teammates from Diablo Valley College, and, sharing those experiences with the guys when I was there, kind of, building those relationships with them, and kind of making an emphasis that, at this level, it's special. And, the kind of last chance you, they kind of call it, kind of thing. And it's you grind with your guys and your boys, and the weight room, the field, and, it takes a lot of work in order to, get out of this level, but it's a great level to develop and get to the next level. So it was great. It was great. And seeing some familiar faces over there. It's always special to go back to the place where, and give back kind of to the place where you kind of grew up.
Hey, that's cool. That's really good stuff right there. One thing I picked up on immediately was, hey, one of your biggest obstacles to get your head out of the grindstone, so to speak, was to learn the individual players and really kind of what makes them tick. How did you go about doing that? Or is there like a proven method to find out about each guy, or is each guy truly unique, and each one it takes on its own life?
Yeah, I think it's just learning each person on an individual level, and just kind of everybody comes from different backgrounds. I was lucky enough to come from a kind of a unique background where no one was kind of similar to me growing up when it came to baseball. My parents immigrated here from India, and playing baseball, I was the only Indian kid on the field all the time. So, and even now when I'm coaching, I'm the only one. So, as a kid, no one really understood my family dynamics. No one really understood the culture and things like that. And so I know growing up, like when coaches would talk to me and talk to my parents, they had to learn about, like, kind of, it was a unique situation of that they had to learn about me. And I kind of took that as I got older, and I was like, okay, every kid comes from a different background, and I don't know what's going on at home. I don't know what's happening over here at school, or relationships. So I really, really have to learn, like, okay, what is this kid doing off the field? What is he doing in the classroom? What is he doing on the field? Like, having a little bit of insight on all of those aspects of their lives. Then I think once you learn that stuff, you will really, really be able to coach that person individually. Because if you just focus on the on-field stuff, it's tough, because you could be pushing somebody, but they could be having some problems, or going through some stuff off the field that could affect them on the field. And obviously we don't want that to happen, but these are some guys that are 18, 19 years old. They're not, they're still going through that maturation process. And it takes time, and I think that's the number one thing when it comes to learning about your players and how to motivate them, is getting down to, like, it gets deeper than just the field stuff.
Hey, good stuff. Thank you for walking through that. And let's talk about some of your coaching success, really, at Diablo Valley College. I got to tell you, when you showed up, I don't think they had been, as a coach, I think they may have been struggling for quite a few years, and you really turned it around, reached the playoffs, had tons of success. What were some of the strategies that you really kind of applied to have that type of success?
Yeah, I mean, like, my main thing is all about player development. I understand. I was one of these student athletes at one point. I walked the path that they're trying to walk, and I remember what worked for me and what didn't work for me. Now, I'm not saying like everything that worked for me is going to work for my players, but I try to show them a proven path. And what I try to do is try to show them that, hey, you need to work hard. First of all, it's work ethic. We're at the junior college level. you guys want to go to the D1 level, you're already at a disadvantage if you think about it that way, because they're where you want to be. So if they're waking up, 6 a.m. weights, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, practicing every day almost 5 to 6 days a week. If you're not putting that similar type of, that work in, you're going to be, you're behind. So I think a lot of it was, the work ethic, and then the structure, and then just making sure they have a plan. So a lot of the things that I try to implement is a lot of the things that I learned playing at the Division I level, Division II level, coaching at the Division I level, Division II level, and then some of the pro ball stuff that, the day-to-day grind, the mental side, and just making sure it's a consistent process. It's consistent. As long as you can be consistent and, implement your absolutes in the program, I think, and just the culture, I think our pitching staff was, they grinded, and they knew that, my main thing is the pitcher is the most important player on the field at all times. And the reason I say that is because they have the ball in their hands every single time, so they get to determine what happens for the most part. So I make that a point of emphasis when they first come in, is if you're not, down with that, if you call it, if you're not responsible, you're not accountability, right? I call it blame or fame. If you're not down with the blame, then if you're not down with the fame, you can't pick and choose. You have to be able to be accepting of both. So as a pitcher, if you accept both of them, you'll be able to pitch in my program and just grind. And I think a lot of that had to do with my guys, and they trusted me and I trusted them, and we had success. And no, it was a good year. It was a good year.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Sidhu, man, you have got such an impressive background, such a great career. I'm thinking as a college prospect, have an opportunity to really work with someone who's had college success, who's been drafted, who's had academic success, has teaching success, and now has learned invaluable lessons on the coaching field as well. Man, you just got a great, well-rounded coaching style. I mean, I think it's really, really cool. I love the way that you have really kind of grasped the individuals and what makes up individuals. And you talked about the maturation process, and man, you really put it into great perspective. It's the fame or blame, and that's all part of growing up. And I think that you're dealing with the right age when you're starting to talk about 18, 19 years old and developing and so forth. I can only imagine those guys kind of looking at you saying, not only were you where I am today, but ultimately you've gotten to where I wanted to be. And that was certainly at the major league level. And kind of speaking of the major league level, I'd like to maybe kind of dive into just a little bit about your time at University of California, Berkeley. I mean, that was where you probably had the first opportunities to help develop guys that were drafted. And I'm thinking about your own perspective, already having been drafted and played. What do you think you were able to do to really kind of help to contribute to their development? And then one thing I'm also kind of interested in, what kind of set those guys apart just a little bit? There's so many guys that have talent, but not everybody's drafted and not everybody has the opportunity to play. So maybe kind of talk about both those if you can.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all the kind words as well. At UC Berkeley, when I got there, I'm obviously, coaching different type of talent, right? I mean, like from Holy Names from Berkeley, it's a different type of talent, different type of kid. These kids are, they're in a Power Five already, so they obviously have some skills that that you don't really have to teach when it comes to whether it's size or strength or velocity, things like that. Like these guys kind of have that from that standpoint, and the player development from for them, it's more of just enhancing their abilities. Making sure that they're not satisfied with just being at Berkeley. If your goal is to get drafted, all right, we have to, look at key things in order to get drafted. Yes, the numbers help, but my thing is like, how are you different than everybody else? That's kind of the way I looked at it when I was there. So, we have a pitcher, he's a lower spin guy from a pitching standpoint. He's trying to increase his spin, and I'm like, dude, don't try to increase your spin. stay low, because that will make you unique. If you try to chase spin, you're just going to get into that little area where you're average. So it's just like, be a low spin guy, really, really, embrace that and use that to your advantage. So, what that means is, we don't elevate as much because we're a low spin guy. We're more of a sinker guy, sinker slider guy. Just making sure we're tunneling all of our pitches correctly in that same slot. Making sure, whatever we throw, it's to our advantage. So that's an example. And then on the opposite spectrum, we have a high spin guy learning how to pitch from his standpoint, more elevation, making sure the breaking ball comes from that high spot and then dropping down. A lot of these guys too at this level, we were trying to, when it comes to pitch design, we have to differentiate, break profiles. So some guys, I remember I came in, their curveball and their sliders were very similar break profiles. So then we had to, differentiate it. We don't want to throw, the same pitch, calling it two different names. So, whatever it was, whether we needed to increase velo on one, decrease break on one, increase, whether it's vertical or horizontal break on the other, we really focused in on that. And then, we used Edgertronic, TrackMan, Rapsodo, all those things. So that was kind of like the way, I think, or the philosophy that I had when it came to getting these guys, try to get them drafted, was doing whatever I can to enhance their abilities and make them a little bit unique. So then when scouts look at them, they're like, some sort of number pops off differently than, what the average is. So I think that's the main philosophy that I had when I was there.
Hey, everyone that's able to join us today, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support for NowD1 Speaks, and thank you for the support of Coach Harmen Sidhu as well. If this is a type of conversation that you enjoy and you'd like to be part of this environment, please reach out to me. I'm on Twitter at now_D1. Send me a DM, whether you're a coach or a prospect. I'm sure that we'll be able to work out a schedule, and we'd love to have you on the show. Hey, Coach Sidhu, you've talked a little bit about your playing career, and it's been an impressive playing career, and specifically on the college level, from Diablo Valley to Oregon State to certainly Sonoma State. I mean, you had success at all levels. Those are three different levels. What were some of the experiences that you had, maybe at each or just collectively, that really started influencing your coaching style as it is today?
Yeah, I mean, when I got to Diablo Valley College, I had success in high school. So for me at Diablo Valley College, it was more of just like trying to find out what I needed to do in order to get to the D1 level. So for me, I tried to just really look into the mirror and be like, all right, what do I need to do? I put up the numbers already, but I don't throw hard enough. I'm not, strong enough. I mean, I'm a shorter guy. I'm maybe barely even pushing 6 feet. So from a pitching standpoint, not many coaches, they look at me as an undersized guy. So, okay, what do I got to do differently? So, I got bigger, I got faster, I got stronger, I started throwing harder. And the things that I learned at, Diablo Valley College, it was very, Coach knew when he was there, he was very, on the competitive side. Really teaching the mental game, and it really helped me become a more competitor. So then once I got offered by Oregon State, once I got there, that's a different level. Now I'm playing under Pat Casey, and the things I learned from Pat Casey is kind of a lot of the stuff that I coach now. The intensity that he had at practice was another level, man. Like it was, it was tough, and I learned that from him. He made practice harder than the games, and but then it made the games easier. So, whether it's my throwing program, whether it's practice, the way we take BP, things like that, I really tried to, replicate that. And from an intense standpoint, obviously we don't do exactly everything that they do or what they did. However, it was intense. And just to like give you examples of that, we're always, we only take limited reps in a game. Every hitter gets 3 or 4 at bats, and that's probably, let's just say average 2 swings. an at bat. I mean, that's eight swings a total game. If we're not taking that type of, focus in practice, I'm not going to give you a million swings to swing. We got to lock in on quality over quantity. So I try to make a game like things like that. So things I learned at Oregon State was very valuable, especially in my coaching career now. And so then I went to Sonoma State. It was a little different than that, different level. And I think at that point in my career, it was a good fit, and I was able to blossom a little bit more and kind of be the player who I really wanted to be. And I learned a lot from the last two stops. And once I got to Sonoma, I kind of just laid it all on the line. And I really, really honed in on what do I need to do to not only help my team win, but get drafted, and whether that enhance my breaking ball or my slider or my velo. I really talked to scouts, and they would tell me things, and I would use that as motivation. I never took it as a negative thing. I always looked at it as, what do I need to do to get better? So as long as I kept on doing that and I kept on seeing progress, it helped me get drafted. So I try to implement that with my guys. I always tell them, no one's going to feel sorry for you. It doesn't matter in life. So it's just how you deal with adversity. You're in charge of the attitude and the energy that you bring every single day. So, let's see how you act every single day when you come to the field.
Man, Coach Sidhu, you're doing a fantastic job today. Thank you so much, man. You're actually reading my mind. I was sitting here thinking as you were kind of walking through the practice, and I love that with Coach Raleigh. You were talking specifically about the intensity. And immediately I made a note to myself, give me an example. And then you started kind of going down that road. And it was a great example. But could you maybe take it just one step further? Because I think the way you phrased it was, and specifically you were obviously talking about the at-bats, and maybe you get 8 swings, maybe, if you're lucky during the game, right? And I think you kind of made the point that you've tried to make a game out of it. Kind of give us a little bit more of an insight as to what that looks like. And the reason I'm asking that, again, our core audience is really uncommitted high school prospects. And they're kind of saying, what does it look like if I have the opportunity to get to the next level? So maybe kind of describe maybe just one of the games.
Well, I mean, so no matter what, you cannot replicate a game-like situation, right? You can't. It's bottom of the ninth, 3-2 count, whatever. You can't replicate that. That's something you have to go through as a player. But as a coach, we can try to, simulate that somewhat. So what I like to do with my guys is that I try to make practice as hard than the game. And, whether that's bullpens, whether that's hitting, I can give you examples of, a throwing program, over 80% of our throws throughout the week are in the outfield when we're playing catch. If we don't lock in right there and focus on trying to hit our partners in the chest every single time, and we have different kind of emphasis each week, but that's one of my absolutes is it's a game. You try to see how many times you can hit your partner in the chest, and they see how many times they can hit you in the chest, and whoever wins. They put a little bet on there or whatever it is. But if you can make that really, really tough, the bullpens are going to be easy. The games are not going to be easy, but you're going to be more locked in because you've done it before. So that's a little example. And then when we throw bullpens, we have command pens where, we throw 20 pitches and you can't move on to the next pitch unless you execute your pitch. So you can be stuck on fastball for 10 pitches, 15 pitches. You might not even reach your breaking ball that day. And you can kind of see how players get upset and they get pissed off, but it's good because it helps them lock in. So that's one example. Sometimes we'll play horse against each other. Some of the players call out each other and they throw a pitch. Hey, all right, fastball in. All right, you gotta do fastball in. And, they're talking smack a little bit, but that's good. It's good for them, and tries to make it a little bit game like. And we have stand-in batters and. We simulate runners on base, the catchers giving signs. I have the hitters always stand in, and I always have them, call out what pitch it was and where it crossed the plate when they're hitting and when they're doing their takes and all that stuff. So those are the type of ways we do it from a pitching standpoint. And then obviously in the hitting standpoint, we really, everything we play in BP, our BP is, I don't really I guess, like to call it BP because we're doing everything in there. There's live base running, there's live defense, and there's live swings. So, each day we have a different base runner. So, some days we'll be on first, some days we'll be on second, some days we'll be on third. And then, we'll split up the rounds where, half the reps at base running is with 0 outs and half the reps are with 1 out. Base runners have to learn how to run the bases with certain outs. And we don't put coaches out there when they run bases because the best coach is your eyes. So if a player has to look at a coach, whether to go or not, they're going to be a split second late. So if you already know off the bat, like, okay, that ball's down, that ball's in the gap, I know where my defense is playing, I'm able to score. So, and that helps the base runners, but then also the hitters know exactly where the base runners are at on the bases, so they know they don't have to ask me what's the emphasis today hitting. Okay, the runner's on second base, 0 outs, move them over. Okay, now we're at 1 out round. All right, drive them in. So, and then the defense, when we're playing live, they got to hit their cuts, they got to throw it to the right base, they got to do all that stuff. So it's kind of like a game within a practice, kind of. It's just a different way of doing it. So I learned a lot of that stuff in my playing career and coaching career, and I think we're having success. And it's intense. The guys get tired, but if you could practice tired and make the right throws, then in the game you'll be able to focus easily.
Absolutely. And another thing that I picked up on, obviously, is, you being drafted out of Sonoma State, D2. And I think that really kind of leads right into our next discussion, which is recruiting. And so many times you hear about the D1 or bust, but that doesn't have to be the path. And I think you're a perfect example of the path that you took to the major leagues, and that was not D1 or bust. Talk to us about your current role now with Los Medanos. How can a prospect get on your radar today?
Today, I like to look at how people practice. I'm a big practice guy. So I like to go to teams' practices and watch them, see how they go in their everyday life, I guess, and their everyday practice routine. And, are they the type of player where are they just working hard? Are they just, flipping the switch when it comes to a game, or are they actually, practicing hard and they're getting after it? That's kind of one of my absolutes is guys that practice hard are guys that I would love to have in my program, because at the level that I'm at, it's about development. I'm a true believer in that. And if they practice hard and they work hard, then they can develop, because, I have full belief in, me and my coaching staff, and we're able to, give kind of, I guess, the recipe in order to have success. And then, if you work hard at it and you kind of follow it, you'll have success and you'll be able to move on. So, work ethic and, the way you practice is very, 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 very important for me. Obviously, putting up numbers in high school and, having that savvy on, when you're playing baseball, whether it's, taking the extra base. A big thing for us is we call it hustle doubles, right? When you hit a single, we turn into a double. That's huge for me, because from a scout's perspective, that's an extra base hit. Your slugging percentage goes up. The scouts don't know whether or not you hit that off the wall or you was a blue pit. So it's just like those little things is important for me, and how you take the extra base, ball and dirt reads, pitchers, how they, react when, things don't go well. I like when pitchers, face a little adversity. Are they going to fold or are they going to face it straight on? So it's like, I try to watch them, in practice, but I also, if I'm not able to make practice, I go to their games, and I hope that, they're in situations where I'm like, I can learn more about them as a player. But, I think it's a lot of just doing the little things and, just being different from your teammates. If you're similar to your teammates, it's hard to stand out, right? So you have to grind harder than them. You have to take the extra base. You have to, a little bit fire, a little bit of emotions. I like that. It's hard to not play. It's hard to play a game without any emotion. So showing a little bit of flair, it's like, I'm all about that. I'm all about the individual within a team, because like I said before, we all come from different backgrounds. So it's like, I like seeing that, not being robotic and stuff, but yeah, just really, hustling and playing the game hard is what I look for.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world to get on your radar. And then let me kind of ask you, when you have the opportunity somebody is on your radar, and now you've had the opportunity maybe to to talk to the prospect and start getting to know him, get a little bit more in depth in recruiting. Are there any certain qualities in a prospect that maybe stands out to you, and that you could foresee that person maybe not only being successful on the field but off the field as well? And obviously I bring up off the field because, hey man, you can have all the stats, you can have all the grinding, you can have all the measurables that you need, but man, if you can't stay on the field and actually play and contribute, that person's really not going to do a lot for you. And so somewhere in there, I've got to believe you're kind of looking at people and you got to find that fine line where, you're going to be athletic, but you're also going to be the kind of person that you want off the field as well. How do you pick up on those little pieces?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, when I talk to, potential, prospects, I want to learn more about them. So like, I want to know what their goals are, what their expectations are, what they're looking for out of a program. It's funny because some kids right away, they're like, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. I want to move on to the next level. I just want to go to a place where I can play. It's like, okay, but how are you going to do that? Like you can everybody wants to play at the next level, but what do you think takes to get to the next level? Just by going to school doesn't mean you're going to make it to the next level. There's things in the program where you have to look for in order to make it to the next level. What's their weight training program? Do you need to get bigger, faster, stronger? All right, that should be one of your, expectations or out of a program is what's their strength training program like? Okay, I need to throw harder or whatever it is. Okay, like what do they do to do that? Okay, I need to fix my, enhance or my swing and get it better. Okay, what does that program do to do that? Like, how do they do that? So when I talk to prospects, when some of them, they'll answer the questions pretty well and they'll give me their expectations and their goals. And, some prospects, they just kind of want to go to place to play, which is fine. But I think when the players understand, I think it's just becoming also understanding the reality too, because, you don't want to be, as a prospect, you don't want to be delusional. You don't want to be like, hey, I did whatever it takes and I'm not there. No, just like look in the mirror and be like, okay, what do I really need to work on in order to get noticed? So if that's getting bigger and stronger, okay, then that should be your goal. If you need to throw harder or, get a better swing and, get a little bit more juice, hey, that's what we need to work on. So I think the moment the players understand what they need to work on is when success happens. So when I talk to recruits, when they have a little bit more of a mature mindset of like, okay, yeah, I know that why I'm not getting recruited from a top school, whatever, it's because I can't do X, Y, Z. So I really need to learn how to do X, Y, Z. When they talk to me like that, I'm like, okay, this guy gets it. So like, I know that like whatever I tell him to do and whatever we, schedule a program, whatever, he's going to do it because he understands that like, in order for him to, let's just say get out, he has to do this, and whether it's academics too, some of these kids, maybe they're academically, they're not where they want to be. And so then, we really lock in on what classes to take in order for them to be successful and put them in study hall. If they need study hall, help them out with tutors. We do a great job at Los Medanos. We have, a great academic support center. And, every single day we have some people on campus helping, students out when they need help when it comes to, writing papers or homework. And we got tutors over there that can help you. So, depending on what the players' goals are is, very important. And we try to, program, their schedule accordingly because, it's not a cookie cutter way. Everybody has different type of, deficiencies and then that they need to work on. So we try to, from a player development standpoint, we try to really, really hone in on that and focus on that for each individual.
Man, that's great insight. Thank you so much for walking through that. And thank you for bringing up academics as well. I'm thinking about you personally. You've had tremendous athletic success, but you've had a fantastic academic success as well. Not only exercise science degree, but you went on and got your master's degree. You're teaching. And I think you even said you're even teaching today as well. I don't know if that's something you want to continue to do for the rest of your life, but hey, you have the opportunity to be doing it. Kind of talk to us just a little bit. And I love that you brought up it, currently, I mean, you've got tutors, and so forth to help student athletes, but just kind of give us a sense of what is the day-to-day like for a student athlete? I mean, it's hard enough just to be a student on your own. That's a full-time job. But when you're also a baseball player, in essence, you have two jobs. How do these guys really balance academics and athletics?
I mean, it starts at a young age. I think it's my parents did a great job. I was blessed enough to they made an emphasis on school was more important than baseball. So no matter what, so I try to put that emphasis on my guys too. It's like the one of the worst phone calls I can get is when a top school or somebody calls me and says like, hey, we like this player. What's his grades like? And I say, oh, they're not very good. It's like one of the worst things it's like one of the worst feelings um, to have. So like I try to make that a point of emphasis to my guys. I'm just like, hey, like we can't allow academics to be in the way of why we can't go to where we want to go to or why we can't achieve our goals. So, the way we try to really, attack that is that, we do progress sports a couple times a year or a couple times a semester. If you're not where you should, if you're not at where you should be at, you have to go to study hall, and we implement study hall twice a week. And that's happened at the academic support center. I make sure that, I'm always checking in on all the players about their grades academically. I also try to find out what schools you want to go to. Okay, this school requires you to take these classes. I think being a teacher too on campus kind of helps because I understand what classes they need in order to transfer. So academically, I make sure like, hey, you got to take, an English and math, a science with a lab. We're making sure that we're not taking labs in season because it's too busy. We're taking our labs out of season. I try to put them in summer classes and winter classes as well, whether it's just one class, just so it takes a load off of them in the fall or the spring. So I strategically try to spread out the classes and make sure the classes that they do take are not in prime time season. If it's like a lab or a super hard English class, I try to find out from a student athlete's perspective too. What are they good at? Are they good? Are they more of a math guy? Are they more of an English guy? Are they science guy? So understanding that too, putting them in these classes at different times of the year, that I think that helps a lot too. But just making a point of emphasis that it's not just all about baseball. We're all going to stop playing baseball at one point in our lives, and you got to get a degree. I've played with some guys where it's tough to go back to school once you get older, and it's fine. I mean, they're still having success, but sometimes when you're trying to get that job, you just it's hard to get it because they require you to have a degree, and that they require you to have a certificate in this or whatever it is, and I try to make it really important to my guys that don't let that holds you back from achieving your goals. So I think they understand that, and I try to stay on top of them, obviously. So I think we're having success this year with that.
Hey, again, everyone that's joining us, thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate the support of NowD1 Speaks podcast as well. And if this is something that you're interested in, again, please go out and find us. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, you name it. This podcast is available everywhere. And if you do like it, subscribe, and I would certainly appreciate a 5-star rating as well. So, Coach Sidhu, let's talk about your current situation with Los Medanos right now. I mean, what's kind of the expectation coming into the spring, and then just looking forward, where do you see your program heading?
Well, I mean, we're expecting to have a good year. I have a good group of guys. For me, culture is a huge thing. I think our team culture it's awesome, and I think the guys all grind together to have each other's backs, and a lot of that has to do with I think the way we structure our program, and from strength and conditioning, our strength and conditioning guy. He's awesome, Coach Jay. They call him the Beastmaker. I mean, that dude he's a monster in the weight room, and he gets these guys right. So there's no messing around in the weight room when it comes to Coach Jay. So it starts with him when it comes to that. And if you could survive him, you could survive a lot of things in life. So he gets that. It's not super crazy, but like he makes you work hard. So, and that's a lot of what our guys need at this level is, discipline, accountability, bigger, faster, stronger, things like that. And Coach Jay does a great job when it comes to that. So, as the season's about to approach, I think just we need guys to step up. Obviously, it's their turn to step up, and they know that. But that's you got to embrace that. If you really want to play at the next level, you got to embrace those big moments. So I'm expecting some big time performances from some of our sophomores who it's their time to shine kind of thing. So I'm expecting a good season from them, and I'm expecting from the pitching staff as well. And I think we're going to be fine. I mean, obviously, you don't know until the season starts, and we want everybody to be healthy and stuff. But from the looks of it, we're excited for the season to begin. And this is that 1 month that kind of worries me. It's that winter break. It gets a little stressful because as junior college, the games start in mid-January, January 26th, around there, and we have to be ready to go. So this 1 month right here is super important. It can make or break you. So I'm excited, but I think our guys, we have a great group of guys, and they all have each other's backs. And the thing about our team is it's super diverse, and we all come from different backgrounds, and it's awesome because these guys learn a lot. One of my main things in my program is I want everybody to learn where everybody comes from, because we all come from different backgrounds. And later in life, these are connections you're always going to have. I mean, we got guys from the Netherlands, France, Japan, Australia. I mean, some of these kids are already planning trips to go see them in the off season, which is pretty cool. And just learning about each other. And I think that's what makes our team chemistry, really well. And I encourage it a lot. I really do. The more you can know your teammate, the more you will have success. So I'm expecting big things, and hopefully they pan out. So.
Well, Coach Sidhu, I got to tell you, man, this has been an awesome, awesome time. I cannot thank you enough for being on here. And I got to tell you, man, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for your program as well. And I can genuinely say this as a father that's had a son go through the recruiting prospect, play college baseball. There's not a doubt in my mind, if my son had an opportunity to meet with you and talk to you, and I found out what I'm finding out about you, I would not hesitate for 1 second to have him play under you. I got to tell you, man, you're just well-rounded. You're smart. You got a great outlook. You put things in perspective. You're not putting it out there as pie in the sky. You're being very, very realistic. You've done it yourself, man. I tell you, anybody would be very, very happy to have an opportunity to be associated with you. And I can't thank you enough for being on here this evening. And I think it was just a great time. Very well spent. I hope you've gotten something out of it as well.
No, for sure, Alan. You do a great job, and I appreciate all the kind words. It means a lot, and I think what you're doing for the community is super important, because I feel like a lot of student athletes have a lot of questions, and a lot of parents have questions too, because it's something new for them. And I think what you're doing is awesome, and it's a great platform for these prospects to really learn from you and from the guests and stuff like that, on how to approach the recruiting process. And I want to thank you for doing that.
Hey, well, thank you for those kind words. And I agree with you. I do think it's a great platform as well. So thank you. I would like to end with one last question. And it's a question that I ask just about everybody, because I think it just makes tons of sense. And specifically what I'm thinking about is really freshman prospects that are in high school. And it's kind of geared toward the parents as well. And if you had an opportunity to really kind of talk to young guys, freshmen, high school, that are good at baseball, I mean, they want to be good at baseball really just for as long as they can, what are some things they could be doing today to really put them in a position to be successful?
I think spending more time in the development standpoint, playing games year round, it could help, but also it could hurt. You're playing in the spring, you're playing in the summer, you're playing in the fall. It's a lot of games. I mean, when I grew up, I didn't really play travel ball or club ball until my senior year. I'm not saying that hurt or helped me, but my dad put me in other sports, and it wasn't even leagues. I mean, my dad would take me to tennis courts to go play tennis, My dad would go play basketball at night. My dad worked all day, so like the only places we could go is places that have lights. So then that was either basketball courts or tennis courts. Whether he played tennis or not, we still played. Because it was the only thing available at night. So what that did was that made me more athletic. That made me, I think more coachable, because when a coach tells me to go do something from a mechanic standpoint, I was able to just pick it up right away, because I think my athleticism that my father helped me with, it's helped a lot. So if I'm a freshman, like, I am trying to, one, become more athletic as much as I can, get into other sports. Don't just hone in on baseball year round, because one, you'll get burnt out, I think, personally. But two, just from a development standpoint, it's tough, man. Like, your body needs to rest. Some of these kids are, they're pitching like year round. And it's like, that's not really that good for you. And then also, if you're playing for, a high school coach, and then, your club coach, and then like, you have to make sure everybody's on the same page, because whatever you're throwing in spring, whatever the goals are there, your throwing program, like, the club coach has to know that too. Because if they're not on the same page, then you're just kind of just throwing to throw, and you might get hurt, or it might hurt your development. So I think just putting time in the weight room, taking time off a little bit too, is a good thing. You're not going to fall behind. Like, I've never recruited a kid and was like, "Hey, did you play year round?" Like, no, I don't care. It's like, can you play baseball well? And, sometimes taking some time off and really developing in the weight room. I think parents should be spending more money in the weight room personally, instead of, playing year round. So I think that's where it starts, is just taking some time off, enjoying being a kid at that point in your life, and make sure that what you're doing off the field will help you on the field.
Man, that's some big time advice right there from a big time coach, actually a big time person. And I got to tell you, man, again, thank you so much, Coach, for coming on and being a part of our platform. Absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to say goodnight. Hey, let me ask you something. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more major league, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NowD1, and you will save $25 at checkout. Unlock your potential with Blast.